Hey everybody, this is just a quick video to show how I'm dealing with different sets of bones these days. So for my characters, I have a set of bones that are for the character himself, and then also a lot of bones that deal with the emotion and expressing emotions and the eyes and head, mainly the head kinds of things. So when you show all of the bones, it can get kind of crowded. And so seeing what some other people had done and just thinking about it a little bit, I had recently tried to separate the bones that I use for the facial expressions from the rest of the bones. So in that case, I had mainly the body bones on the top layer, a couple of others perhaps, and then tried to put the expression bones on a separate layer. So that means for the head, that becomes a bone layer. Now if you'll note, I'm not seeing the facial expression bones on the top layer, and I'm also not seeing the body bones on the head layer. But in order to do this, I have to do something else, and that is on the top bone layer for the quick settings. And I'm sorry you can't see this. I'll try to drag this up a little bit. Let's see if I can show you, so that it shows up that underneath the quick settings you have to set the path so it doesn't show up. So this has to be unchecked. So that seemed pretty nice at first. You could have this easy separation of the bones, but actually it turned out to be not as helpful as I would like, because I like to see the bones during my animation, and so I mean the keyframes. And so if I have other layers, let's say I move some bones over here on a separate layer, they're not going to show up on this top layer. So that's a little bit frustrating, and so you have to kind of go back and forth between the different layers to do things. So it actually turned out to seem to be a little bit more work than I had thought. But here's an even bigger issue as to why I'm changing the way I'm doing things. For this particular character, I have added a new bone up here, which is a face turn, and it's a little bit different than the head turn, because the head turn is just a flip, but now I'm giving the full head turn type of effect here. So that's what I'm trying to do, and I've done all the smart bone rigging on the different layers, but notice as I turn this, you can see that the back hair is adjusting, but the face isn't turning. Well, just to show you, let me go to the actions, and we can find that face turn layer and open that up, and we see as I scrub across here, we actually have the face turning, and everything seems to be working okay, but it's not. Because as you can see in the main line, as I try to manipulate that bone, it doesn't affect anything. In fact, as we scroll down, we see, let me close up this Tracy M1 layer, or actually this head layer here. It doesn't affect, the hair is the only one that's outside of this head layer, and it's the only one that seems to be working. So it seems like this nesting of the bone layer seems to be a problem. Now, just to show you, in the bones, for both the top layer, I said allow nested layer control, and for the head layer, I said allow nested control. So I would have expected that to work, but it doesn't. So now you may say, well, why don't you put the face turn bone down on the head layer? Okay, so that's another thing that I was trying. So in this character, I don't have the face turn bone up here. I put it on the head layer, and I have another problem. Notice as I move off the 0, I get the hair and the mouth seeming to be layer bound to this bone, which is very strange, because as I look at it, from what I can tell, when I go to the head, it seems to be indicating that the whole head is bound to this head bone. And then if we look at the hair front, it doesn't seem to be bound, and we don't even see that head showing up. And it could be that quick setting. I'm not really sure. If I look at each of these individual layers, we see that they're not bound to any particular, not bound to this bone. And same thing for the mouth. It doesn't seem to be bound there. And as I compare it to, well, why aren't the eyes moving? If I click on the eyes, I don't see them bound in any different way. So the fundamental point of what seemed to be a nice kind of idea of separating the facial expression bones on a head layer and the rest of the bones, the body bones, on the main layer, it seemed like that would be a nice separation, but it turns out that's really causes lots of problems. And in particular, if I have to go debugging my actions, that's what I found to be the thing that causes just more frustration than anything. You want all your smart bone actions to be easy and they work exactly the way that you expect. And so anything that because of certain settings might cause problems is just too much trouble. So here's my solution. I've actually written a script where I set the visibility of the bones just by clicking on this icon in the toolbar. And so now I'm either using the expression bones or I'm using the body bones. And that's fairly simple to do, and I'll talk about that just a little bit more in a second. But for those people that don't know how to write scripts, there's actually something that's fairly close to that. It's a fairly nice way of doing things that I hadn't known about before. Now, in the bone menu, there's a number of hide selected bones, hide and show shy bones, and hide control bones, show all bones. Those can actually be very helpful. So if we look at, I'm showing all the bones right now, and here's some bones here that really I only want to show for certain, I'm using them to position these other bones. I don't want to go into the details of that right now, but specifically what I'm going to do is I'm going to select these emotion bones and the facial expression bones here, the eyes, and these other bones here, and I'm going to call them shy bones. And let's click on those. And so now what we can see is we can have those bones go away, and we can now bone, hide, and show the shy bones. And so the only issue here is these two here special bones are also shy bones, and so that they hide and show separately. I mean with the face. So I can't just bring up the facial bones and not these. Now the only real challenge here is that the body bones are always showing up, but I can do bone and select all bones, go over here and hide the selected bones, and then I could go here to hide and show the shy bones. So I can get to that. It's just lots of clicking, so it's not as nice. And so instead, I've got my script here that allows me to do that. And in particular, what I will do is all of these emotion type of bones, I don't make those shy bones. I do make the other shy bones so that I can just select those and say hide the shy bones. So now when I use my script, those special bones that I don't want showing up don't show up at all, and I'm explicitly toggling in between the body bones and these facial expression bones. Well, this isn't really a scripting lesson, but for those of you who are interested in scripting, this is fairly simple to do. The main point is bones have a field F hidden, and all you do is set that value. It's a Boolean, and so what I do is for all of the bones, I first turn them off, and then I turn on the bones by name. So I have the bones that are of interest. I have a table that specifically shows them by name. And so these are going to be the facial expression bones. And I have a state that says, I call them the head bones, and the head bones, are they hidden? And so initially they're hidden. And then at the very bottom of this, hide bones, I toggle the state. So initially the head bones will be hidden and the body bones will be shown. Then it toggles so that the head bones are shown and the body bones are hidden. So anyway, I just wanted to share that with people who may be wrestling with the same kind of issue that I was, and just alert you to the kinds of problems that you can have when you've got nested bone layers. So hope that's helpful.